Sometimes I find myself like sometimes in some situations my perceptions of things is negative, and I like to know how I can get rid of negative perception energy.
Hang on a second. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so Lauren, you're saying you have negative perceptions?
Sometimes in certain situations, sometimes I realize like I have negative perceptions um of like the entire situation and to myself, and the question is like how can I get rid of that?
Why do you want to get rid of the negative perception? Maybe there's something bad going on. You want to see the truth,
Uh,
right? It depends. I mean, the discernment is this true or not? Not
but
whether it's good or bad.
if the perception is false,
Okay.
then that's not good.
Okay, so your question then is about if I'm seeing things that aren't true, it's false things.
Yes, it's false. Yeah.
So you don't believe that the negative thing you're seeing is true, but you're seeing it anyway.
Yeah.
There's a saying, it's kind of a common saying in Indian Hindu spirituality. Don't try to push out the darkness, right? You guys heard this? Introduce the light.
Mhm.
So if there's darkness or negativity, pushing it out, this is an Aikido principle too. What you resist or what you force or push persists. It'll keep happening. You expand it. It's kind of like that idea of you have a negative thought and you think negative things about your negative thought makes the negative thought more, bigger. It gives it fuel. You're feeding the negative thought. So if you're pushing out the darkness or the negativity, you're giving it energy to expand. So the idea is to introduce light, which is truth. So what do? I got a negative thought, it won't go away. Well, then I need to stop pushing it because it won't go away because I'm feeding it my attention. I'm being negative about my negativity, and that negativity grows. So this is what the head type is really good for. You just observe it. I have this terrible thought in my mind. I hate it. I wish it would go away. I wish it would go away. Okay, right there, you observe. I'm pushing. I'm trying. I'm forcing. Just watch it. Just look at the negative thought with compassion, or with detachment, or just look at it. Just observe it with no intention, no struggle, no trying, and you'll see what happens. What do you think will happen?
Will it go away?
What do you think? It's false, right? You said it was false. What if something's false? It means it's not real. It's like a mirage.
Mhm.
It's a delusion. Delusions aren't real. So if you just take yourself, you pull back from it. This is what the head's good at. Just pull back and see it. You've extracted yourself out of the thought. That that false thought can't live anymore because you're not there feeding it. It's there because you're feeding it, you see? So you pull back like a good observer, if you're a perceiver type, and it will just disappear like a cloud, like steam.
Okay.
Get it?
Yeah.
I mean, we cause our suffering so much by feeding these things we don't like. And if we use our centers properly, our head center, we use it properly, use it to observe ourselves. And this may be your starting place, or maybe this is your starting place and you can go here easily. I don't know. We all have to watch ourselves. But self-observation is really, really important for emotional, psychological, and spiritual development. We have to see what we're doing. And I like this tool. So I thought, because I sometimes teach this to Aikido people, like this group that hired me to do this seminar tomorrow are old Aikido students from Sofia. I have another group, Sneha, that I work with. They're not Sofia students, but they used to use the dojo for training. They rented the space, and I was teaching them Aikido, and I would bring in these kind of things, and they're really into it. It was a group called Integral Transformative Practice. So they're into lots of different transformative practices. Okay, so is that, you think you have enough information to work with this during the
Yeah,
week?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah.
Great, good. And if you have any questions, go ahead, Rika.
Yeah. So in connection to Laura's question, Lauren, yeah. So if you're having this sort of negative energy towards some sort of situation, um, by saying not to push out the darkness, um, does that also mean not to force yourself to be like positive in a situation where you obviously like feel bad? And yeah,
Go ahead, Rika.
yeah, and I, and by letting yourself feel it and kind of being kind of observing that that negative feeling and being compassionate towards it, like what what is the the best way, or like what's that balance between being compassionate and actually being like, you know, going into depression or like this place of like self-pity? Do you know what I mean?
So there are two things here. There's don't push out the dark.
Uh-huh.
So the idea, the general principle is a non-effort, non-forcing, no forcing. So that means not forcing the positive either, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So the second part was about you would rather be compassionate than self-pitying. Like there's some kind of a choice between the two, right? That's a choice you have. It's either I sit here and feel sorry for myself, or I could be like open and compassionate instead of sitting here feeling sorry for myself, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it's a very fine line, I feel, where you can go from being compassionate to then being like, oh yeah, you know what, I didn't deserve to have this happen to me, and then you're kind of, you know, feeding on those emotions, and then you quickly go to a place of self-pity. Like, I feel like it's very easy to get there. So,
or resentful, something like that.
Yeah, or resentful, or like just, you know, in this dark place. So whereas I feel like when you talk about having compassion for yourself, it's an act of self-love. So what would be the right way, or maybe even a way for us to recognize when we're going into this dark path to self-pity?
Okay, what would you say is a prime quality of love?
I think, yeah, empathy, compassion.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is empathy and compassion?
To basically feel, it's difficult when I'm talking about myself, but when I talk about another person, it's to kind of feel the emotions and to kind of feel somebody else's emotions as my own. But these are already my own, so I'm not quite sure how to answer that.
Does anybody have an idea? It's something very basic. we always have a lot of embellishment about love, you know, but something really basic. And let's say it's about like what Lauren was saying. I had have a negative delusional thought that I don't like, and I want to get rid of it. And then I use the words like have compassion for yourself. So what I really meant was, and I'll tell you, what I really meant was, to me, love starts with paying attention. If we love something, we put our attention on it. Could be an animal, a cat, like my kitty cats. I'm always paying attention to them. I love them. I don't have compassion for them. I don't try. I just feel attracted to them. So I'm always attending to them. You love what you're doing. You love being a therapist, Neha. You do it. You love helping people. You pay attention to them. You see people all the time say they love someone and they don't give them any attention at all. I love you so much, I'll call you next month. You know? To tell you I love you and to call you the next month. You know, once a month I'll call you to tell you I love you. No, you don't love me. You know, see, a gut type says, no, you don't love me. I feel that instantly. Love is attending, is really paying attention. So all it means with the self, when you're feeling, say, resentful, if it doesn't feel good in the body, it doesn't feel good in the mind, right? So you pay attention to the feeling. So for head types, you know, they can go to feeling, being in the being place. So you stop and you pay attention. That's loving yourself. Right there, you're loving yourself by paying attention. What I was saying to Lauren was another way of saying, when you observe, step back and observe that negative thought, you're loving yourself because you're paying attention to yourself. Normally, what do? We fight ourselves. We say, that's a nasty thought, it's a horrible thought. I'm a bad person if I have that thought. I got to get rid of that thought. If anybody knew I had that thought, they'd hate me. That's not loving. You know how simple love is very simple. It's stopping and listening and paying attention. And then it changes. And that's how this works. Once I observe, I can go to my feeling. And my feeling might be like a kind of gratitude. Oh, what happened to that negative thought? Oh, I feel good, it's gone now. What happened to it? It disappeared. But you know, it can come right back as soon as I come back into this paranoid space in my head. But you know the technique now, you know the key. You see it for what it is. You see through it when you pay attention, when you observe. And there's a lot of energy coming into our body and a lot of forces going on that we don't understand that can keep us from doing or being the way we want to be. That's why practicing, having tools like this, and practicing. So you may understand this now, Rico, but when that resentment comes back, the old habit of trying to, or that delusion that Lauren was talking about, when it comes back, you'll go right back into your habit of resisting. That's what we all do. We resist, we don't like it, we judge it, we hate it. But if you can remember, wait, all I have to do is stop and observe and be and pay attention. And then the process starts moving. It starts with paying attention. And that's a kind of love. And that love for ourselves, when you can do this with yourself, it'll be easier to do it with other people. If we don't listen to ourselves, we can't listen very well to other people. So everything always starts with working on our self. And if you can think of it as simply as that, it's being attentive. Think of your negative self as a child, a little child crying. They're crying because they're an orphan. Nobody loves them. And you pick up this little child and you pay attention to the child and you listen to it cry and you hear its story and you say, tell me more about what hurts inside. And you keep telling the child that you want to hear their story, you want to listen. They will become happy, because the nature of a child is to be happy. They will become happy. The negativity is on the surface. And see, we have that little child in us. And all of us need to pick up our own little child and take care of it. And instead of going out into the world and trying to find a relationship to do it for us, right? Don't we do that?
Mm-hmm.
Try to find somebody to take care of us. And then when they're not doing a good job, we get in a fight with them. You're not taking care of me. You don't care about my needs. You don't love me. Right? I know, because I do all this stuff too. I've had a lot of time, more time than you guys to go through these cycles. So it's good to get the clarity. This is what's good about the head type. You see, to have the clarity of the, what to do. But you see, you feel, and then do. If you start here with doing, see, feel, do. Start here with being, feel your feelings. Now, they have to, it's like with a gut type, it's like you kind of get stuck in being and feeling. So that's why it's important to open things up a bit. And then the clarity comes. Yes, Sneha.
So what would this look like when we're practicing in our body, in Aikido? What would that look like for being, doing, and seeing?
Okay, let's see. I've used up the time talking about this. So we were going to practice this verbal Aikido after doing a little physical Aikido.
Is it okay if we go 5 minutes over time? Because, yeah, is everyone okay with that?
Okay with everybody else. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. So in our warm-up, so I was going to get into this uke-nage relationship, attacker-defender relationship. So the attacker, these were going to be some warm-ups here. The attacker needs to learn how to attack so that they don't get hurt and nobody gets hurt and they're safe. And on the mat in the dojo, we throw, so they learn the attacker learns how to fall safely. Now the nage practice is what we've been doing. That's the defender, the person practicing Aikido. They practice the principles of Aikido. So, and what we're talking about, it's kind of like, we're talking sort of about the attacker, or the uke is inside. So Lauren brought up a typical attacker, which is a negative thought. And Rico brought up an attacker that's kind of a negative feeling, which is like resentment, or it's a feeling you don't like, something about yourself you wish you didn't have. You wish you could be more empathic and compassionate. All the time I want to be compassionate, or all the time I want to be,
Positive.
seeing things clearly. Okay, but how do we get there authentically? So you could say the attacker is inside us. And so what does the defender do? First, we have to relax. Relax for a moment. I'm getting attacked. You have to recognize I'm getting attacked. So this is what the head does. I see I'm getting attacked. You identify, you take this little system I've laid out here and you say, oh yeah, SueAnn was talking about this the other day. I remember that. That's head. The head's remembering. I'm seeing, I'm observing. I don't like this feeling, and now I'm in a fight with it, trying to get rid of it. So we don't do that in Aikido. We don't fight the attacker. We first relax. We try to get to a point where we can do this really fast, relax and see, get grounded. So we come from seeing, observing, to getting grounded in our hara, in our body, where we feel and where we sense the energy, and where we feel the ground and connect to the ground. We get centered. Okay, so You notice, yeah, my head's got this attacker in it, but now I'm starting to feel some, connection to the earth. I'm feeling a little bit more calm. Now, what do I do? Okay, then the next thing is we extend our ki. That's starting to include the doing center, right? Because the doing, the heart is the arms. It's reaching out and connecting. So we extend our ki. So in terms of an outer person, you're connecting with that person who's attacking you in energy. And so if it was with yourself, that would be where you're reaching out with your attention and you're saying, basically, tell me more about how awful the world is, or tell me more about how you resent that person. Why do you resent that person? It's okay. Let's really expand that. It's kind of, you're extending into it, you're opening to it, whatever that is. So in terms of Aikido, we're opening to the attacker. So when we practice with a partner who's actually pretending to attack us, it's a model. It's like a modeling of what we really want to do within ourselves. There's a saying that we have met the enemy and the enemy is us. It's an old saying from the 60s, actually. We have met the enemy and the enemy is us. And I hear people saying it again. Things get recycled. And we only have outer enemies because they're projections of our own inner enemies. There's no enemies except us, our own stuff. If we were enlightened sages, we would see no enemies in the world, none. We would look out and see the world as perfect. It's the way it's supposed to be. I've met a couple of sages, and that's how they are. They're really okay with it because they don't have enemies within themselves to project on the outer world. Does that make sense? So that's what's called Maya. Maya is this delusional or this projective ability of the mind. So in terms of Aikido, we practice first getting relaxed using soft eyes. So when we soften the eyes, it's like we're taking this guy with his eye. He's out there seeing enemies everywhere, right? We soften the eyes. I'll have to get a picture of soft eyes. And when we soften the eyes, we start to go down into our feeling, right? Soft eyes allows the head to relax into feeling down here. So we're seeing now what's going on inside. Oh, I got tension in my neck. Better kind of let the shoulders go here. Oh, my stomach is tense. Relax the stomach. You start to feel what's going on. And as we feel the sensations, then the emotional feelings can come in. We get tense when we're up here because the world is unsafe, because we're projecting all kinds of bad things. So the body gets tense and represses feeling, our natural feeling. As we relax, we come down here and the natural energetic, emotional sensations, all those feelings start to come in. And you have to do the practice with everything that comes in because some of it isn't going to feel good. As we relax, you may start to feel pressures and pains and things that you don't like. See, having a preference for good things and a revulsion toward bad things is one of those inner enemies. We need to have equanimity about everything that's happening. So that's what we're doing when we get centered. When we're centering, we're coming to a centered place where we can have equanimity about good and bad. It's like saying yin and yang. What's better, yin or yang? They're the same. They need each other, good and bad. Dark and light, they're the same. We need night and day. So there's a point we come to when we're centered where you're okay with the flow of things, the yin and yang, the up and down, the good and bad, the right and wrong, the bad, the good feelings and bad feelings. And in Vipassana, they say everything's impermanent. If you've ever done a Vipassana workshop, that's their main principle. Don't get hooked on the bad or on the good because it's all impermanent. It's going to come and go. Everything comes and goes. Okay, you guys familiar with that Vipassana philosophy? So when I done Vipassana retreats, I always think, wow, this is like Aikido. we're becoming like equanimous about what's going on in the outer world and in the inner world. So keep that in mind, that if you have something you don't like, a negative thought, negative feeling, you see somebody and they piss you off, don't try to stop it, because that just, makes it bigger, makes it, more resistant and persistent. You look at it and say, you love it with your attention. Okay? And I don't want to go too much over, but I'm happy to. I don't need to go anywhere right now. But so this is kind of like I revised a little bit to bring in the 3 centers. So it's just a reminder of what to practice. So anything before we finish class, you guys? Didn't mean to turn it into a discourse, but this is basically the sort of philosophy of Aikido.
Thank you for today. I really enjoyed listening.
That's because you just got out of bed and you were tired. Teasing. Thank you. You're welcome. Anything else before we finish with our bow? Okay.
Thank you, SueAnn. I learned a lot today.
Great. Thanks for actually letting me share that with you, because I think this is really important. I think it really can make a difference in your relationships and stuff. Okay, let me get the, I can't seem to find the view thing. Okay. Okay, thought of the day. He who blames others has a long way to go on the journey. He who blames himself is halfway there. He who blames no one has arrived. It kind of fits, doesn't it? That's where we're going, toward being a sage. Okay. So we'll do our Aikido bow. Great. Domo. Oh, we don't need to clap. Sorry. I'm all discombobulated. Domo Arigatou gozaimashita.
Domo arigatou.
Domo arigatou
Gozaimashita.
gozaimashita.
Thank you all very much. Have a great week.
Thank
Please
you.
feel free to communicate
Thank
in the
you.
global Aikido. Okay? I'll be checking in on that.
Okay.
Have a great evening or a great day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, SueAnn.
Thank you